This is a heart-touching love story between a poor boy with big dreams and a rich girl trapped in her lonely world. When two different worlds collide, love finds a way against all odds. In the heart of a bustling city where skyscrapers kissed the clouds and expensive cars roared on the streets, there lived two people from completely different worlds. Arav, a poor boy with dreams bigger than his pocket, worked as a waiter in a small roadside cafe. Every day he served coffee to strangers with a smile that hid his struggles, a heart full of hope, and eyes that reflected silent stories of sleepless nights and endless compromises. On the other side was Mira, the daughter of one of the richest businessmen in the city. Her life was full of luxuries, designer clothes, imported cars, weekend parties, and friends. Enter Text, who loved her status more than her soul. Their worlds were not just different, they were almost forbidden to touch. Fate, however, had its own plans. One rainy evening, when the city was drowning in water and traffic was stuck for miles, Mira's car broke down near Arav's cafe. Angry, frustrated, and drenched, she walked inside, cursing her bad luck. Arav noticed her immediately. Not because of her beauty, which was undeniable, but because of the sadness in her eyes that she tried so hard to hide behind her expensive makeup and attitude. He offered her a cup of coffee, free of cost, with a simple smile that warmed her cold heart. For the first time, someone didn't look at her like she was a trophy or a business deal. That one small act started something unexpected. Days turned into weeks. Mira started visiting the cafe more often, making excuses just to sit at the corner table where Arav served. Their conversations started with jokes, turned into deep talks about life, dreams, and fears. Mira shared how lonely she felt despite having everything money could buy. Arav shared how he wanted to open his own restaurant one day but couldn't because of his financial condition. Slowly, unspoken feelings started growing. Arav knew this was dangerous. He was a poor boy with nothing but a few coins and big dreams. She was the heiress of an empire. Their love story was not just difficult, it was impossible in every sense. But hearts don't understand logic. One evening, under the dim yellow lights of the cafe, Mira looked into Arav's eyes and said, "Do you think love cares about status?" Arav smiled sadly and replied, "No, but society does." They laughed, but deep down, both knew how real this challenge was going to be. When Mira's father, Mr. Khanna, found out about their growing closeness, all hell broke loose. A man known for controlling business empires with power and fear, Mr. Khanna couldn't tolerate the idea of his daughter being involved with a poor waiter. He confronted Mira at home, shouting, breaking things, warning her of the consequences. Mira stood her ground for the first time in her life. She told her father that Arav was not after her money, that he never even asked her for anything, not even love. But Mr. Khanna was furious. The next day, two men showed up at the cafe. They threatened Arav, beat him badly, and warned him to stay away from Mira. Bloodied and bruised, Arav still showed up at work the next day, refusing to give up. When Mira came to know what had happened, She rushed to the cafe, tears rolling down her cheeks. Seeing Arav in pain broke her heart. She held his face in her hands and whispered, "I won't let them break us." Arav wanted to believe her, but reality was harder than hope. That night, Mira made a decision that changed everything. She left her home, her comfort, and her luxurious life behind. With nothing but a small bag of clothes and her savings, she stood outside Arav's rented one-room apartment and said, "If loving you means losing everything else, I'm ready." Arav was speechless. He held her tightly, scared of losing her, but proud of her courage. Life ahead wasn't going to be easy. Mira struggled with the tiny space, the lack of comforts, and the stares from neighbors. Arav worked double shifts, skipping meals just to bring her something decent to eat. Despite everything, their love grew stronger. They laughed at silly things, found joy in small moments, and dreamt of a future where status didn't matter. But life had more tests waiting. One day, as Arav was returning home with a surprise gift for Mira, a black SUV stopped near him. Before he could react, masked men pulled him inside and drove off at high speed. They dragged Arav to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city where Mr. Khanna stood waiting with a cold glare that could freeze time itself. Arav, battered and weak from the earlier beating, struggled to stand but refused to bow his head. Mr. Khanna walked towards him slowly, his expensive shoes making sharp clicks on the concrete floor. "I warned you once," Mr. Khanna said, with venom in his voice. "But you didn't listen. Now I'll make sure you disappear from her life forever." Before Arav could respond, Mr. Khanna's men threw him to the ground again and left him there, unconscious and bleeding. Meanwhile, Mira waited anxiously at home, staring at the clock, wondering why Arav hadn't returned yet. Hours passed, and fear consumed her. Her heart knew something was terribly wrong. Without thinking twice, she rushed out into the night, searching the streets, asking people, visiting hospitals, calling his friends. Nobody had seen him. Finally, after a sleepless night, she received an anonymous text with an address. Without hesitation, she took a cab to the location, her heart pounding with fear and desperation. When she found Arav lying on the cold floor, barely breathing, something inside her snapped. Crying uncontrollably, she held him close, begging him to wake up. With help from a kind stranger, she managed to get him to a nearby clinic where doctors worked tirelessly to save him. Days passed before Arav opened his eyes, and the first thing he saw was Mira's tear-streaked face resting beside him. Her eyes lit up with relief and love as she whispered, "You scared me to death." Arav, with a weak smile, replied, "I'm not going anywhere." But the problems were far from over. Mr. Khanna was now more determined than ever. Using his political influence and money, he filed a false police case against Arav, accusing him of theft from his own house. Arav was arrested in front of Mira, causing public humiliation and emotional trauma. Sitting in the police cell, Arav began to wonder if love was worth this endless pain. But Mira didn't give up. She hired a lawyer with her own savings, contacted media houses, and exposed her father's manipulation. The story caught public attention, and soon people started supporting Arav and Mira, calling it a fight between love and power. Under immense public pressure, Mr. Khanna was forced to drop the charges. For the first time in years, Mira saw fear in her father's eyes, the fear of losing control. Free from legal trouble but still battling financial hardship, Arav made a bold decision. With Mira's support, he started a small street food stall. The same people who once mocked him now came to eat at his stall, especially after media channels covered their love story. Day by day, business grew. Mira stood by him every single day, taking orders, serving food, and smiling with pride at the man she loved. Months turned into a year, and Arav's stall turned into a full-fledged restaurant, Mira's Cafe, a place where their story began. On the grand opening night, Arav went down on one knee, holding a small ring he had saved for months to buy. In front of a crowd full of friends, customers, and well-wishers, he asked, "Will you marry me?" Tears flowed down Mira's cheeks as she said, 1,000 times yes. The entire cafe erupted in cheers. Even Mr. Khanna, sitting silently at the back corner, couldn't stop the tears that escaped his eyes. Seeing his daughter truly happy, even if not in the life he had planned for her, softened his heart. He slowly walked towards them, placed his hand on Arav's shoulder, and said, "Take care of my daughter. She deserves happiness." That one sentence erased years of hatred. The wedding was simple but full of love. The boy who once had nothing but dreams and the girl who once had everything but happiness finally found their forever together. Their story became a symbol of hope, a reminder that true love doesn't care about status, money, or society's rules. It only cares about two hearts willing to fight the world to be together. And in that small cafe where it all began, every corner whispered their story to every new couple that walked in, teaching them that sometimes love really does conquer all.